Welcome, welcome everybody. If you can hear me or if you can see my screen, if you could say something in the chat about that, that would be great for me. And of course, ironically, if you can't hear me and you can't see my screen, I guess nothing will be coming through in the chat. So you do me a favor, again, if you could see my screen, let me know. If you can hear my voice, also let me know. I would love to hear from you, and we're going to get started in literally just a minute. Feel free to introduce yourself, ask a question. This one's my favorite. This is usually what brings people to classes like this. So we're very committed here, both myself and Rob at Lumi Wealth, to give people what it is they need so they can move on and move up. And here we are at 3 o'clock. So good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I know we have people from everywhere in here. Welcome. If you haven't said anything in the chat, I'd like you to think during this program about what would be the best possible outcome for you from looking at a seminar like this. Because I know there are plenty of people who shop around and look at things, but somehow knowledge never really turns into technology and action unless you apply it. So tell me what would be best for you, and that's certainly something we'll work on by the end of our hour. If you're here, it's because you want to become a bulletproof trader, trade fearlessly, grow your wealth steadily, and make rational risks. Risk is something we all have to do. Not everybody knows how to do it correctly. So look, before I get there, if you could shut down your other apps, maybe if you have kids, just lock them in the closet, tell them not to hurt each other. I only need your full attention for about a half hour or so. And I need it fully because your future is worth it. So if you decide to participate in this presentation by typing in an answer or a question or two, if you stay until the presentation's finished, I have a gift for you that's worth $295. And it's not the internet $295. It's actually something that people pay that much money for every day. So right now, we're in the third or fourth once-in-a-lifetime event of the 21st century. We have record-breaking inflation. I don't know if anybody remembers, I had a mortgage in 1985 that it was 18%. The beginning of this year has not occurred in any investor's living memory. It was the worst start to a year since 1933. Now, right now, I don't know you all personally, but I know there are people in this room who've lost relatives to COVID, who've lost jobs, who maybe even lost fortunes in crypto. Maybe you've lost friends to politics because this is a stressful and divisive time, and so much is coming at you from so many different angles. But imagine if you could armor yourself against that noise. What if, for you, the future made a lot more sense and you could move forward with confidence and calm? How different would your path seem if the hard parts were narrowed down to their essentials and you could concentrate on what matters most? That kind of ability, and it comes from competence, is what makes you a bulletproof trader. My name is Guy Robert Porter. My undergraduate degree is in philosophy and neurobiology. It led me to explore complementary medicine like chiropractic and acupuncture, and that led me to do clinical research, apply knowledge and science to the things that were going on in complementary medicine. And eventually, it led me to working with hedge funds. This pursuit of scientific certainty led me to owning 2 different advisories, which today manage $45 to $50 million. And every day I get to do my dream job, which is where I'm engaged in moving millions of dollars worth of shares for active investors, retirees, and trusts. So I've been doing this for a really long time. uh, over 30 years. I've seen a lot of things, and maybe like you, I'm excited to see the new adventures that the market has in store for us. Luckily for me, I am bulletproof, and a lot of the things that cause stress for others don't stress me out in the least. Now, although I have a strong mathematic and academic background, I was raised in New Jersey by Italian immigrants, and everybody in my neighborhood looks a lot like this. And sometimes, I talk funny, but, forget about it. Anyway, here's the thing. These guys, when something annoyed them, they took steps to take care of it one way or the other. And you're here perhaps because something's annoying you. So if you've had a chance to think about it, let me know what's frustrating you the most about your trading or about your wealth accumulation. Maybe you are accustomed to making money and lost a bunch at the beginning of this year. I know I talked to literally hundreds of traders over the course of a year, and their biggest complaints, mistakes, and stops really come down to about 6 things. First is the noise and confusion. Honestly, only 1 in 30 people can explain their method of trading to another person so that that person could reproduce it. If you can't explain what you're doing to someone else, then maybe you don't know yourself. The second thing, and probably the first big complaint everyone has, is I want to remove the emotions from trading. I want to make it so that these losses don't hurt me and stress me and so forth. That's just a huge complaint for people. The second thing, or the third thing rather, is that they'll complain that their system isn't reliable. Most people who start with trading see it either as a side gig, a second income, and many people hope to replace it as their primary income. But if your performance isn't consistent enough, your cash flow is not going to support your lifestyle. So if it isn't reliable and you can tell that it's not, then it really isn't going to do the big thing you want it to, which is support your lifestyle. The fourth most common complaint, it comes down to outright trading mistakes. I will look over somebody's trades and so forth. I'll see some big losers, and they will say, "Oh, well, I sold 100 when I was supposed to sell 10." Or that's where I should have had my stop loss, or any of 100 different excuses for the outright trading mistakes. And this kind of relates to the thing about bad entries or exits. There are plenty of people who will tell me, Guy, I want to work on my exits. I can get in okay, but I have trouble getting out, or vice versa. And for many people, that comes down to a failure to, oh, Justin, got to tell you, bud, this is the workshop for you. Justin said one of the biggest problems I see is being able to properly generate statistics for evaluating a strategy. Okay. Let's get back to the bad entries and exits, which is kind of related. And that is, you do need an algorithm. You don't have to be a computer programmer, but you do need a set of directions for yourself that get you in and out of trades. And here's the very worst part. It's endless changes. So many people will just randomly change their system because they have an idea, or they've had 3, 5 different trading losses in a row, and it's like something must be wrong. I have to change my system. And what happens with that is, if you don't keep records, if you can't rise above the noise and confusion in the first place, then you are truly aimlessly walking along in the market. And what happens is that bid-ask spreads, commissions, even if they're small, just little things just keep nicking at your wealth because you do not have a way forward and up as far as trading or investing are concerned. So this course took 6 months to get the first development part out, because Rob and I, when we wanted to create this thing, we wanted to do something that was unique. There's some great courses out there already that teach option basics, Forex, crypto, day trading, but we wanted something that would go to the core of what people need to become bulletproof, to have a measurable, steady increase in their wealth so that they can see it, so that they can make it permanent, and so that they can live on it. Now, in my regular day job, I do this stuff every day with successful business owners and professionals. Now, most of these people don't rely on trading for their wealth. Instead of being somebody who builds houses, you're somebody who sells stock. Instead of being somebody who's a lawyer, you're somebody who's an option trader, for instance. It's all the same as far as getting true wealth together. What's unusual and what I love about working with traders is that we really get into developing a way to have kind of a factory to create wealth, a way to put together ideas, test them, and implement them in the very market. So just the same way that I've organized the pathway for business owners, I've organized this pathway for traders like you guys, especially in the Lumi Wealth ecosystem. So the process all begins with a system that works, that you can rely on and scale. Now, given that, everybody's goal, will come down to some of the same things. You're wanting financial peace, financial order, calm, and confidence. We'll get to a graphic description of that in a minute, but I don't want to waste anyone's time. Is this course for you? I'm not sure. I'm here to help you decide. So if you're someone who's collaborative, committed, and coachable, then yes. I say collaborative because one thing missing from so many courses is a way for the students to interact and work together, kind of like doing class projects together, etc. But not those class projects where, you're the only guy working and then somebody shows up right at the end to get the same grade you did. Not like that. We want people who are truly committed to working and also people who are coachable. And if I were to ask you if you're coachable, I bet every one of you to a person would say, well, Guy, of course I am coachable. Look, being coached is painful. You're going to be asked to make changes. You're going to be shown different ways of looking at things in a whole new way than what you're accustomed to. And every human is uncomfortable with that and is wired to resist it. So if you're somebody who truly can be coachable, I admire you and you'll do well in this class. Next is someone who has a vision for the future. So again, it's one thing to aimlessly change your system because you're trying to get ahead. But if you don't actually develop a system, or rather a vision for what it is that you want for you and your family, it's going to be a lot harder to truly get ahead. And that's going to be important. And the last thing I mention is really the most important. It's your time and your attention. This class is for people who are going to do stuff. And if you're not going to actively participate, have an account where you can trade things, where you can make mistakes, where we can look at results and tweak your algorithms, then you'll get less out of the class than you could otherwise. So we definitely need your time and attention for this. Now, just like everyone else, you want to have some financial peace and order. And I use this pyramid to let you determine where you're at with this. So the first thing that we've all had to do as adults is try to make enough money so that we could live a life without emergencies. So there wasn't a surprise when the car insurance was due or when the real estate was due. After you have a job that starts to give you an excess of funds, you've created enough wealth, or you've created enough value rather, to save and invest. And here's where this course and so many others really come into play. Okay, you're trying to get from intending affluence, you're struggling, now you want to strive. You have the desire, the resources, and the support here to drastically improve. And from striving, you can develop a scaffold, you can develop a framework that keeps your wealth safe, growing, and going the way you want it to for your family, for you, and for the protection of everyone. The goal of this part of it is essentially financial independence. Financial independence is having more than you can spend in your lifetime and knowing it. And once you've gotten used to that for a year or two or five, you'll be able to really think about creating abundance for your kids, for causes, etc. You'll be able to do all the really good things that most wealthy people do. And I know from experience that people who started by struggling, once they get themselves up to a place where they become financially secure, they do look to do good for others. Once they've done well for themselves, they look to do good for others, and that's very exciting, and that's part of the pathway that we're on here. So our Lumi Wealth classes are community focused, and we have clear results. We have clear results because we measure them, Justin, and we're also able to even quantify how much value there is in various strategies. So the whole thing is that we are here to move upward and onward, to get you as high as you want to go on that pyramid, and to make it so that this, I'm not going to say is easy, because it's hard. It isn't easy, but we're going to facilitate your progress so that you can see that your hard work is worth it. So now I have some bad news. Okay. If y'all want to get out here and beat the market, there are thousands and thousands of academic papers willing to prove that what you're trying to do is actually impossible. Okay. There's something called the efficient market hypothesis, and people are dead set on proving that no one beats the market. And I'll tell you that everyone here is trying to what? Beat the market. So there's more bad news. Okay. And it's bad news for a lot of us here. And that is that 90% of futures accounts blow up in 90 days. So look, if you're someone who had an account and it went from 20,000 to zero, congratulations. Basically, that's the beginning tuition for being a trader. I don't know anybody who made 5 figures who didn't lose 4 first. The average losing trader will blow up 5 accounts before they finally just pack it in. So maybe you haven't reached your limit yet, and we're here to make sure that you don't. I have some risk disclosures that I have not included in here because I just didn't get to them. But if you have a trading account, you know that there's risk to futures, to options, to stocks. There's risks to using margin. There's incredible risks in Forex. And later, when I give you the opportunity to give me your contact information to send you a few of the little bonuses, I will definitely be including those risk disclosures in the package. So sorry they're not here today. Look, things are dismal. The average investor's lifetime return is 4.9% a year. That's why there's a retirement crisis. That's why so many people are up in arms against big businesses and people who are free market capitalists who are actually doing well. It's because the average guy does very poorly. And even managers, when you get into a mutual fund or an ETF, an actively managed ETF, most of the managers can't even consistently beat their benchmark. So don't feel so bad about it. One of the problems is that there's asymmetrical information. So I'm going to assume that everybody who's listening here has at some point or other either bought or sold a stock, options, some kind of instrument. And I guess I'm wondering, Did you ever think about the guy on the other side of your trade? I mean, you're very clear that stock XYZ is going to go up, in the next 2 days or 5 minutes or whatever it is. Is this kind stranger giving you that so that you can just have the money from it and return it to him later? I mean, what's going on there? What's going on is that there's asymmetrical information and you may be ignoring it. Always assume that the person you're transacting with knows a lot more than you do. And while this definitely goes against your bias of overconfidence, it's something that's going to save your butt over time. So just something to consider. We definitely get into this. But your ignorance of cognitive and behavioral biases is responsible for, listen, is responsible for over half of your losses lifetime to date. Over half of your losses lifetime to date. Now, here's the thing about a cognitive bias. You can't get over it by yourself easily at all. It's like that diagram with the two lines, and they've got the arrows pointing in and the arrows pointing out, and one always appears larger than the other, even though you know they're the same size. Your brain has the same kind of biases, and these are the things rooted deep in your mind that are going to cause you to lose a lot of money in the markets until you get a handle on them. I'm not just talking about, trader psychology. I'm talking about deep, deep brain structures. Also, I want to talk about the secrets of the rich. Whenever I hear that, I throw up a little in my mouth. The thing about secrets of the rich is often a lead in for, I don't know, an insurance pitch or something. But there are tools that institutions use that you're not using right now. There are privileges that institutions, wealthy people, and trusts have that you're not even aware enough to ask for. And these tools and privileges can help you scale your trading or scale your profits once you know enough to have a good system. And these secrets of the rich are things that will become available to you quite shortly. So look, on with the bad news. The folks who built this thing and the people who do this kind of stuff for a living and the people who draw all those Greek letters on chalkboards, they all found out that the stock market's around also. And they all found out that they can take their normal salaries and multiply them by a factor of 10 or more if they use their knowledge to engage in the market. And all these people are willing and eager to trade with you. Is that great? It should be scary. If you're not a little scared by that, you have a problem. Okay? These are the people who are on the other side of your trade. It's the reason that so many of your trades become losers, even though you don't expect them to. Okay? These people have capital and information that you're not privy to. They're willing to use it, of course. And here you are in front of your computer, trying to make a trade, thinking about all the stresses, not only of the trade itself, but you're doing this because of your family. You're doing this because of whatever the rest of your lifestyle matrix is, and all these things, past failures, debt, loss, and so forth, all of them come into play when you're about to press that button to buy or sell. And this is part of what makes trading so very hard for people. So what's in front of you and what seems to be an obstacle is really the path through. In our first phase of the class, we're going to do a section called Clarity, and we ask some very hard questions. They're hard for a couple of reasons. One is they may force you to see faults. The other is because when you try to answer these questions, you have to think hard. And people naturally will do anything to stop thinking hard and start thinking easy. Your brain just tries to save glucose. So when you want to sit down and really solve a problem, you've got to put yourself in the best possible space for it, because your brain is literally trying to fall asleep the whole time. So this is Lonnie, not her real name, a person who took one of our classes. And the thing was, Lonnie had a little off-the-shelf algo that she liked, was using a little bit, wasn't really working the way she wanted it to. She wasn't particularly versed in various kinds of orders. So what we did first to solve the problem of having small gains was put in some bracket orders. Once the small gains started to work consistently, we started to use some leverage. And we knew we were successful when she wasn't getting the expected return from her trades because she was putting too much money through those trades, that she was too right and the market was getting away from her. So those are some of the things we work on when you come here with a trade, or I'm sorry, with a system. And if you don't have one, we'll give one to you. That's okay. If you're a beginner, we'll show you a very intuitive, rationally based, visual investing that does not at first require a bunch of math. It's something you can be very relaxed about. And although you're not going to make 3% a day on it, you could rely on this, as many of my clients do. You could rely on this to be a system that could take you all the way through your financial independence and leave you with money to give to the kids or your charities. So the whole point, or the whole way rather, to do anything with trading is to create a system that you can run through again and again and again. And what we do is we find a minimally viable algorithm. We find a little system that works. We monitor it, manage it, and when it's time, when we know, Justin, statistically, that we can expect some return from it, that's when we can decide whether or not we're going to leverage it. And then we can scale and go on to succeeding. So these are basically the three phases. Okay, the first thing you have to do is survive to trade tomorrow. And what you're trying to do is find a method that's actually profitable. And you'll describe the type of profitability it has. It's not going to be something like, I trade for 30 minutes a day and make $500 every day, and then I'm done and I get to go to the beach. Trading actually does not work like that. You really don't make $500 every day. I'm sorry for you if you believe that this is what happens. There are losses, there's adverse movement, there's 100 things that happen on the way to you making that $500, and most people don't know how to handle at least half of them. And that's why, even though they take a course like that, they don't end up rich, famous, and living on a yacht. So the first part of that course, the phase one, is clarity. We achieve a clarity on what you want, what your system can do. We make sure that you have all the fundamentals in place, including the rules and tools, the data, and that your strategy is easily explained and documented. Just because something's easy to explain doesn't mean that it's not effective. And just because something's very complex with a lot of moving parts actually often means it's not going to be very effective. So we work on that. We work on it with the class. We work on it separately. And if you're new to this, and by new, I'm going to say, you know, you've been trading 3-5 years, whatever. You may not have your big idea set up, but there's at least 6 ways we can go through to find your big idea. As I mentioned, if you're new, we'll do a momentum-based trading. We could even do something with mean reversion. A lot of you guys like oscillators, MACD, RSI, that sort of thing. If you don't know what this is, don't worry about it. Some people are using information theory and a bunch of statistics. This is something I like. They identify the signal, the information that's in the prices, and separate that from the noise so they can figure out which way the market's going. Others, especially people who've taken the Lumi Wealth AI class, will keep an eye on sentiment. And the AI class, as I recall, has as its project a way to either read Twitter or Reddit or Discord and find out what others are thinking about a stock. You can also work with rebalancing a portfolio. Now, more than ever, this is possible to do even with small accounts because some brokerages allow you to use fractional shares. So you can essentially build a great mutual fund, ETF, or very responsive portfolio with $20,000 or less. And lastly, but most popular, is technical analysis and market timing. People love the TA. That's when you look at a chart and you see these up arrows, down arrows. People are buying at the right time, miraculously selling at the top. It never happens that way. But technical analysis is something a lot of people use to determine what the chances are of the market going one way or the other. And we will seek to not only use it, but quantify the information in there. So look, you've got at least 6 ways to go with your big idea if you don't have one. If you do have one, we'll try to separate out the parts here and get you at least profitable in phase 1 so that we can go on to phase 2. If you have something that makes you 1% during a time period, we can show you how to make 2% during the same time period, 5% during the same time period if there's sufficient information in your system. And leverage, this kind of leverage, puts a profitable system on steroids. What does it do for a non-profitable system? For a non-profitable system, it blows it up really quick. I don't know how many people I've spoken to who took an options course, were doing really well, loved how they did when they bought 3 or 5 options at a time, went up to 10, lost everything they made in 3 days. So 6 weeks worth of work gone in 3 days because they did not understand leverage and the risk involved. So it's good and bad. We'll show you how to use it for the good. And if leverage is working poorly for you, we'll show you how to deleverage pronto. With all these things, you want to think big. That's great. You want to start small. You're going to scale or fail. And while you're thinking big, you'll be collaborating with me. I'll be working as a coach. And it's not like a life coach who's really nice and everything. Remember, back to the people I grew up with, I'm going to be a little tough on you when you come up with an idea. I'm going to insist that you be rigorous, and I'm going to do it because anything I say to you, any hurt feelings you may have that I was sharp or didn't really listen correctly, any of these things is nothing compared to having the market tear your trades apart time after time so that you make a small fortune in the stock market because you started out with a large fortune. Okay, better to sweat in practice than bleed in battle, and that's what I'm here for. In phase 2, you're going to implement your system. We're going to make sure that all of the little parts are moving and working correctly. We're going to monitor the system and make sure that the actual results you get look as much as we can, look as we expected. You know, we will have done some exploratory statistics. We will have done some paper trading, but you never really know what's going to happen until you put it in the market. And there's a way to find out right away if what you're getting from the market is in fact what you expected. Let's say it works. Well, now we've got leverage in terms of margin, short selling options, leverage funds. Those are interesting things. Futures and Forex. There's a great many ways to leverage your successful system. And we'll talk about that and show it to you. I don't really want to get into the technical parts of this, but it makes for great graphics. At any rate, we're going to use professional level analysis to find out how you're doing, because if you're doing well enough, there are many millions of dollars that would love to be taken care of by you, because you're somebody who can get a reliable return with an acceptable volatility. And this is how people really make money in trading. This is one of the best ways to leverage, is when you can prove that you're a good trader and other people will trust you with their money. Now, you may not want that hassle. That's fine. But, as an example, if you're somebody with a $20,000 account, even if you're making, I don't know, 60% a year, which is pretty outsized, it's going to take forever for you to support yourself from that. If you were somebody who was truly making that kind of return reliably, you could have tens of millions of dollars under your management in a matter of months. And the fees from that would immediately make you as wealthy as you wanted to be. So whether or not you go with working with other people, the point is that leveraging and having a secure system are what's going to be needed to succeed. And as you do in real time, you're going to see your allocation of your assets start to change. See, if you're worth 100K, maybe you have a business, maybe you don't. Maybe your trading account, this little blue thing right here, is like your side gig or something. But as you're growing, as you get to $1 million, this side gig, this business, starts to become bigger and bigger. And it's probably at this point where you really would leverage into some other people and so forth. But I guess my point is, you'll really see the change in the distribution of your assets as you become successful with this. And to do it, we use an app. It's called the Elements app. People who are in the customized version of the program will receive this app, download it, input some things, make sure that they link up their accounts properly. And at this point, we take care of a great deal of the issues that are involved with getting to the top of that pyramid in a safe way. And guys, paying the least amount of taxes possible. Y'all can talk about volatility risk and the risk of a recession and this, that, and the other. But you know what? If you have a good trading system, or if you're just a younger person in general, I'll say, 35 to 50, your biggest risk in your life is taxes. Nothing else threatens to take 35% of what you make away every year like taxes do. They're consistent, they're unrelenting, and with some specialized knowledge and the help of some professionals, you really can change that. So just very important to worry about the threats that actually exist and the threats that are actually taking away your wealth. Hardly anyone mentions this. And again, it's something we work on as soon as it's important to work on it. So these are some of the little ratios that the app uses to monitor your progress, as I will. I'll just say that this one measure, the total term, this tells you really how rich you are. Okay, it tells you, you know what, if you liquidated everything at your present lifestyle, you would have X years of living. And frankly, if you got that up to 20, maybe 25, you'd be done. I don't care if you're 50. I don't care if you're 40. You're close to done at that point, and you'll be able to see this on the app. So again, we're trying to get you to some financial peace and order. These are the steps. This is the keys to success. And we're here to take you through this in our course. We want to give you a way to develop, implement, monitor, improve, and scale your trading system, and then guess what? Make another one. Because why? They're unstable. What works today may not work tomorrow. So sometimes systems work during certain regimes of market movement. And when these regimes are over, they don't work very well. So the momentum strategy, for instance, works well in a rising market, in a secular rising market. And the losses in that system are actually some of the first things to tell you that the regime of the market has changed. And in that case, you have to start using some things that work really more in bear markets and so forth. So to your point, Ernest is asking, how would you find these investors that would like to invest in your profitable trades? Well, we'll get into the how and why of that toward the end, because it really does feed into the reason that I'm doing this course from my point of view. So let me just ask you to hold on to your question for a minute, Ernest, and if I don't get to it, just bing me a little bit and let me know. So look, we go from either not having a system or having a simple system to developing one, to making sure that it works, to scaling it, to leveraging it, to making sure that all of this works for your family, for your goals of how you want wealth to be. That's what the course is about. The course is for 10 weeks for the people who take the individualized program. It will obviously last longer, but the point is we want to make you wealthier and closer to your retirement goals by the end of it. Again, in a measurable way. So look, timing is everything. My idol of stage and screen, Bruce Lee, said that, and I'll never forget it. He's so right. And you know that, or maybe you don't, the Chinese character for crisis is composed of two other characters, one meaning opportunity and one meaning chaos. And certainly the situation we find ourselves in today, something the Chinese would call interesting times. And the Chinese believe it's a curse to live in interesting times. And yet here we are, plenty of opportunity, lots of chaos. And the question is, will you be one of the people who will be able to take advantage of this and make it work for you? And hopefully, as I've said before, as you make this work for you, you'll do some good to make it work for other people too, because that is truly the only thing that's going to get us, out of this crisis and into some more prosperous times. So the opportunity can be found here at Lumi Wealth. Now, ignore the end of the URL here that says trading is a business purchase. We're still working on this a little bit and moving things around, but that's the URL to go to. And let me share that with you. You can possibly see it right up here. If you get there, you'll have to scroll all the way to the bottom. The top of it looks like this, Bulletproof Trading. You're in the right place. There's a description of the course. There is a course curriculum. Check back on that a little later. We even have some changes to make to that, but generally it's probably 90% right. And a description of our plans. So you can come to the live classes, or you can come to the live classes and get some very personalized attention and help, including the Elements app, a way to take your winning system public, as it were, to get the outside investors and so forth, if that's what you're into. But if you're at the stage where what you want is a trading system that's going to help your wealth, you're going to be very personal and closed with it, then you probably don't need the personal coaching system, but it's up to you. Here's one thing I want you to really look at though. Scroll down. Including me, everybody misses the coupon that's at the bottom. So make sure that you copy this before you select your course so you can get your 20% discount, which is being offered until December 11th. So that's for a limited time. And again, I also promised you that I would have a bonus for you at the end of this, and certainly I will for the people at the end. So look, I've gone through a lot of things. They may seem rather ethereal. I put it together in a package for you so you can understand in a concrete way what it is that the course offers. Okay? The first, professional level algos. We'll give you access to the same programs that hedge funds and dark pools use to disguise their activity, because that's what they're using the algos for. We'll show you how you can scale in and out of positions. You can execute grid strategies and so forth, all without programming. And the value of that is about $24.50. We will present to you the fully disclosed momentum system with slides, examples, and certainly help. It's easy to use, visually based, keeps you in the market at the right time, keeps you on the sidelines when you should be. It is actually a system that's used for a great deal of my very conservative clients, and the value of that is $37.50. We have a bear market option strategy because the momentum strategy doesn't look so good right now, right, folks? Okay, so the bear market option strategy is a deep dive into how to wring money out of the options market and keep yourself out of trouble when prices of stocks are going nowhere or when they're going down. This is something that allows investors to continually get the income they need from their stocks without selling them. So I know for you guys who are being traders and so forth, probably your big priority is how can I make X percent a day really quickly and so forth. But at some point, and maybe for some of you, you have a large portfolio and it would be better if you were getting 5, 6, 12% in cash out of that in order to support either more purchases when the market's down, or to just support the lifestyle that portfolio is meant to. In any case, the value of that kind of strategy is worth $33.50. The mental bias busting framework. Listen, we're going to identify at least 15 different ingrained subconscious patterns from deep inside your lizard brain. And these patterns make you lose money consistently in markets. So you'll be able to spot, confront, and neutralize these automatic mistake-generating programs that run your mind. Now, these subprograms have been responsible for more than half of the losses you have ever made in your life. Say it with me. More than half of the losses you have ever made in your life. So I can't really put a value on it. I mean, charitably, I would say 10,000 a year. It's not a one-time thing. It's an every year thing. When you can get a handle on the erroneous parts of your mental programming, then so many of these losses will disappear. Option forward projection. I'll show you how pros use the total option data to project future price moves with simple, direct formulas. You can do this every day with a little simple software, and the value of that is $17.95. The mechanics of scale. Show you how to take a successful system, scale it, and double your return on investment in under a year. So, you know, if you're making 10,000, if you're making 20,000, you can do the doubling in your mind. I've made this an estimate. This is more of what Ernest has been asking for in terms of scale. You can easily do it by leveraging. You can also do it by involving other investors. So, Ernest, I'm excited you've asked. As part of the reason that I give this course, there's a lot of regulation to how careful you have to be even if you're using your brother-in-law's money or working with your parents, but certainly strangers. And it's not impossible. It's just a little difficult to follow these rules. But again, once you've involved other people, your wealth can skyrocket. Now, for advanced traders, remember that pyramid. Okay, so if you're already a professional with a home and a business, if you have a high-paying job, or if you have your own business, then access to the Elements app and the virtual family office. What this gives you access to is tax expertise, discussions about asset protection, family security, trust and estate, and the value of this is $49.95. And you know, a lot of times on the internet, people throw these values out there. I want you to know that I do these things professionally. And for almost everything up here, people have actually written me checks in these amounts or greater amounts for the services I'm discussing. So I'm really not blowing smoke here. I'm somebody who's registered as an investment advisor, and I can't lie. And probably that's why I'm not telling you that I'm going to show you how to turn $10,000 into $1 million in a year. So I'm doing my best to be very truthful, to make sure that your expectations are rational, and I don't want to disappoint anybody. So we'll get a little more into the guarantee at the end of this too. Consult on demand. 10 hours of 15-minute conversations with me by Zoom. What this usually works out as, it's a touch point. As you're moving through your course and your progress on your project, you can just make a Zoom appointment with me. We'll talk for 15 minutes. I'll give you your next step, or I'll listen to where you're at and give you suggestions, or whatever it is that you need. And this is based on the actual billing that I do. It's worth $29.50. So what will you get in total? You'll get 10 weekly class sessions, replays and documentation, professional level algo access and training, fully disclosed momentum system, a bear market option strategy. I'm not even including the bias breaker, price forecasting, the Elements app, the family office, and the consults. The total of this is $23,335. And these are real prices. Again, I haven't inflated this in order to deflate it. As you'll be able to see when you go to the Lumi Wealth website, this stuff can be had for much less. And there's a few reasons for it. Of course, one of the reasons is that instead of teaching every one of you one at a time, I'm able to do this in a class. The other reason is, and I hope you will be the person who breaks this mold, but the other reason I can offer this is because really half of you will not take advantage of everything that's offered here. Half of you will not finish the course on your own. Okay, so it leaves a lot of space for the people who are determined to make this work, and you will get the full value of this. So price is something that people often talk about in the absence of value. And let me tell you that I really feel it's a full value here. But if you don't feel it's a full value, then within the first 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be having a talk with everybody. And if you want a refund, again, I don't want to disappoint you. If this course isn't for you, if it isn't going to get you where you need to go, we can part friends, and you can part with all your money back. So in that sense, there's no risk. Again, I am out here to make sure that you get what you want. That's really what financial fiduciaries do, is help people use their resources to get what they want. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So technically, I'm not your personal fiduciary, but that doesn't mean that I don't have that moral and ethic to make sure that stuff that happens is good for you. So a lot of traders ask me, is there a guarantee? I've kind of gone over that a little bit. We're certainly going to go over it very much in the first class, have you guys sign off on a few things. And again, I really don't need the money. I'm at a place in my life where I really don't need my next client. So I know you guys all want to be there too. You want to be at the place where you don't have to take a job you don't want or go into an office you don't like or anything like that. And I'm here to show you how you can get to that place. If it's not for you, you'll get your money back. Okay, no worries. Is it worth the money? I cannot tell you. What's it worth to you to know that you're on track to do the stuff you want? What's it worth to the security of your marriage to know that you're the person who's in charge of steering the family ship here and that it's actually working? These are things that you can answer. I've looked around on the internet. There are courses that cost less, and there are courses that cost a lot more. And I think we valued this pretty well. So can my wife, husband, partner, kids join in also? Listen, everybody can come to the Zoom conference. One person can have the unlimited consults. So work as a team with as many people in your household as you like. That's just fine. And certainly bring people along. As with all these Lumi Wealth courses, they're kind of like all you can drink. So if you go through the course and you want to do it again, if there's stuff you missed, if there's that one lecture you want to hear again, or if you want to be exposed to the new stuff that comes out each time, yeah, just pop in one more time for another full course. It's fine. If this is so good, why are you sharing it? Well, let me tell you, I have an obligation to my clients, and I will not be sharing anything that can harm them. On the other hand, everything I'm sharing can do well for you. It does well for my clients. I haven't picked anything that has such a small inefficiency that 50 people doing the same thing are going to ruin it. It's not like that. I'm happy to share it because a commitment in my life, based on my faith, is to do good for others and help them get what they want and help them, attain their highest and best self. So having enough money is something that helps a lot of people do this. The lack of money gets in the way of a lot of stuff you want to do, and I'm going to try to help you solve that problem. So if I have enough money, why am I even charging for this? Why am I not sitting on a beach? Because I don't like to sit on a beach. I work all the time. I enjoy working. I don't think there's anything I'd rather do than trade and share with traders and just engage in the discovery and the science that this is. It's fascinating, and probably you have kind of the same idea about this. Now, I'm not famous. I don't seek to be. You can look me up on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to connect with you. You're welcome to make an appointment to talk to me and check me out as much as you need to in order to feel secure that your time is going to be well spent. We've already taken care of whether or not it's worth the money. You can get your money back. The person for whom this course is right, though, has more money than time. Their time is valuable, and that's the prime consideration here. So which course level should you take? I guess it depends. If you are just getting up to the point where you're going to become a professional, you probably don't need the advanced course. If you're somebody who has a business, a high-paying job, a management position, if you're somebody who's over 50 or more, you might want the second course in order to fully make sure that you get what you want. Again, you're here for financial independence. You're not here to be pressing buttons every day and staring at a screen. You want the result, and the means are, well, whatever they turn out to be for you. Okay? So I made this little chart here as to which way you should go. And if you write to me and send me your email address, I will send you this as well as a few other things and possibly an annoying newsletter you can always unsubscribe from. But this is a way to figure it out. So one of the big differences is, do you have enough time to really work on your project? If you have a trading system or the beginning of one and you are really developing it, you probably should go to the individualized uh, option rather than the course option. So here's the big question. How can I put this to the best use for me and my family? There's a very simple answer. Start now. Go over to Lumi Wealth, go to the trading as a business course or the bulletproof course, look through, if you're still unsure, look, you can make an appointment with Alicia. She's very friendly. She's a wonderful woman, and she will help you get the courses that you need. And let's see, I want to answer Ernest's second question. Do you guys teach us to build our own family office? I like how the virtual family office sounds too. Well, Ernest, I provide a virtual family office. I'm a fiduciary in one. And if you really want to do it, I can teach you, but it's dumb to learn it just for your own. There's so much work that goes into it. Unless you're going to do it for at least 5 other families, your best use is probably having someone else help you with it and having the advantage of it. A family office is where you are the CEO of the family business, whatever that is, your two incomes and your apartment building and your little business, whatever. And there's one family officer, one family fiduciary who reports to you. And you tell him what it is you need, what your challenges are. And the job of the fiduciary is to put together the appropriate team. For instance, many business owners pay over $100,000 in taxes every year. It's not uncommon for somebody with a business to do that. If it happens to be you, then the people in my virtual family office group almost all the time are able to cut your tax bill in half, not just this year, every year. So what would it mean to double your investment returns? Hey, what would it mean to have your taxes from now on out? We're talking some really big money there. So that's part of what the virtual family office is, and that's part of the people who are able to do that. So look, here's your gift. Oops, I'm sorry, I don't seem to be sharing the screen. Glad I caught it. Hate to throw your gift away. Okay, so look, people actually pay me, as I've said, close to $300 for an hour of my time. You have given me an hour of your time. I am free to give you, or I feel happy to give you an hour of my time. Something brought you here today that's bothering you about your trading or your wealth or whatever. Write it down. Take a few minutes to really think about what is between you and being successful. And I'll take an hour with you to give you clarity on it, to give you a perspective that will help you to, go forward. So are there any other questions? I've taken up an hour of your time. I only asked for a half hour. You've all been very generous with this. Time and attention is so scant these days. Again, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you being in my world, and I appreciate you guys being here. If there's anything I can do for you, feel free to reach out. I intend to be your friend in the business. And oh, you know what? There was one more thing if you're still here. I'm looking for talent. One of the reasons I did this with Lumi Wealth instead of on my own is because there's a bunch of people here who know how to program and actually do have some really good ideas for trading. I'm putting together a hedge fund. I'm going to be pitching it in the middle of next year. I still need more talent for it. And I'm looking at people like Rob and a few of my past students and so forth to put that together so that we can have a multimodal fund of funds And if you're someone who's dreamt of that kind of lifestyle, if that's the type of reason that you got into trading, then this is the right place for you to be sure to use that link. It's in the chat. Be sure to use that link, get in touch with me. And I look forward to speaking with all of you just as soon as I can. So my best wishes to you and your families for the holidays, and really take care, be careful, and best of luck in whatever you do. See ya.